for tuning in the Greatness Engineering Hour show. My name is Mireille Tulekima, and I'm also known as the Greatness Engineer. I'm going to be your host today, and I'm delighted to have a special guest today. And, you know, for those who actually don't know me, I'm the founder of the Mireille Tulekima Global Leadership Organization. And that's the organization actually sponsoring the show. And at the Mireille Tulekima Global Leadership Organization, we empower individuals and we inspire them to define and design their own success. And we make sure that they become the best that they can be to actually live life on their own terms. So we provide them with, you know, a sustainable and authentic development approach that creates, you know, an active leadership experience for them so that they can engineer greatness in their life and in their community. So it's really about, you know, our ultimate goal is about creating a positive impact in the world. And we've actually carried this philosophy and this mission on the Greatness Engineering Hour show by featuring, you know, guests with inspiring stories of triumph, and who can actually share their specialized and unlikely knowledge and expertise. And today we have an amazing and very dynamic woman who is going to spend the next hour with us. And her name is Dee Bowden. Dee is based in the US, and today with her we're going to be talking about money and debt, and then it's just right on time, you know, as we just finishing the year and we're actually entering a new decade. So, I mean, in just a few words, and I think Dee, I'm going to leave Dee to introduce herself in a bit more detail. Dee is the founder of the revenue recovery company, BCS Solutions, and she believes that small businesses fall prey to revenue loss because of very poor accounting strategies. And that's why she's on a mission to help, you know, to help all those small businesses to grow their financial bottom line. And she's sharing, and she do that by sharing she have a 5-step program to revenue recovery. And, you know, in addition to having spent 20 plus years of in the finance sector, Dee has been able to collect over $50 million for several companies and government agencies. So along with this, you know, success in the financial management sector, she's the co-author of a book called Entrepreneurial Elevation, an anthology on, you know, increasing your wealth, influence, and impact. And she's also been featured in different podcasts, and particularly in Black Enterprise magazine for an article called "Sealing the Money Leaks: 5 Ways to Secure Your Cash Flow." So Dee, welcome to the Greatness Engineering Show. It is a real honor and privilege to have you. I'm really excited today to have you as a guest. And thank you for taking the time to spend, you know, an hour with us today. So I'm just going to ask you to start to, you know, introduce yourself to our audience in a bit more detail. And we really want to know who you are. I mean, I really want you to talk us through, you know, how you came to do what you do today, and how you started. And so we really want to hear everything about it today. So
you want the whole story, huh? Okay.
So the floor is yours.
Okay. Well, first of all, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're listening to this fabulous broadcast. I am Dee Bowden, the founder and CEO of BCS Solutions. Marielle, thank you so very much for this opportunity to be on the Great Engineering Hour. I am over the moon with excitement. We've been friends for a little over a couple of years now, and first time to get to talk about it. So, you can just imagine when like, you finally meet your friend that you're like, yay, that's me. So,
it was the same on my side. So I'm really, really privileged, and it's an honor to really have you today.
Absolutely. So my story to how I got to become the founder and CEO of BCS Solutions really started like this. So I'm in the US. I'm actually in Maryland, right outside of DC. So I'm originally from Boston. That's where I was born and raised. And then little girl, I spent my summers in a little town called Mount Olive, North Carolina. So my mother's side of the family is from this little town called Mount Olive, North Carolina. So we used to take a bus, a 24-hour bus ride.
Wow.
To go hang out with my grandparents. So every summer when I was a baby until I was 18 years old. And I share that because in order for me to be who I am today, you kind of got to know the backstory, like what's the foundation, what makes me me. So spending time with my grandparents every summer taught me hard work, taught me faithfulness, it taught me to learn to believe in God, and to understand that nothing comes easy. Whatever you get in life, you work for it. You got to be tenacious, you got to be determined, you got to be persistent, you got to have faith in yourself and in God, my person in God, and then you got to have a goal. Now, I don't know if you ever saw the movie Pretty Woman, but there's a line the lady says, you gotta go, you gotta have a goal. You won't want to be doing this kind of stuff all your life, don't you? You gotta see yourself doing something a little bit better. So that's kind of how it started. So it started with me doing
the vision story, you know.
You gotta have a goal. You gotta have a goal. And so my parents were real big on education. So my dad was like on me about school. So my dad was big about education and music. So if you don't know, I love jazz. I'm a huge jazz lover.
Wow.
Jazz. Oh my gosh, man, you give me some good jazz, some good food, and put me by the water. I'm the happiest person on earth, I promise you. So, but I share that because I think sometimes as people that are in entrepreneurs or business owners, they forget like how to enjoy life. Before I get into all of the stuff about money and all that stuff, I want to kind of give you like who am I? So grew up in Boston, spent my time in North Carolina with my grandparents, learned some great principles to help me become me. Went off to college, went to graduate school, so I have a master's degree in management. And then my other fun side of me is I love jazz, absolutely. I love great wines, absolutely. I don't know if there's a Ferris wheel in Australia, but if there's one, I gotta go ride it. I love Ferris wheels. Like that's like my favorite thing. I love hot air balloon rides. So this milestone, I took a hot air balloon ride. Actually, when I turned 40, that's how I celebrated my 40th birthday. I literally rolled up my hot air balloon. So if you've ever seen The Wizard of Oz, the whole scene when they put Dorothy up in the balloon, that was me. I got to do that. And I'm telling you, it was one of the most coolest things because just being able to like I said, you know how I said earlier about having a goal? Well, I had a goal. I wanted to always do a hot air balloon. So I got to ride the balloon 5,250 feet. And now you look up and you're like, this is amazing. And it's cool. And it's so peaceful up there. It's just like, if you're scared of heights, I get it. But I'm telling you, it was fun. It was one of my favorite things. Anyway, so that's kind of the backstory about me. So transitioning into how did I become this revenue recovery person? How did I focus on money? Well, it started in my career as a data entry person. So I began my career by doing data entry. I don't care what line of business you're in. Somebody has to sit and enter in the information into a system. No matter. And so I started off by having to enter stacks like this big of invoices into the system. And then I worked for so interesting. I worked for an engineering consulting firm. As a matter of fact, seriously, I worked for an engineering consulting firm. That's how I got my start. So I worked as an accounts payable clerk first, and I learned back office. So I learned about payables and receivables and all of those things. And I learned the chart of accounts. And then I worked as a contract administrator specialist, a junior one, to a senior contract administrator for a year to learn contracting. So this engineering firm I worked for was an engineering consulting firm. So they dealt with water, wastewater, water, wastewater, and a few other things. And then when I got promoted to be a contract administrator over the construction division. And in my construction division, my team built a water filtration plant up in Hemlock, New York. So that's how I got started. And so I worked with engineers and architects, and they explained the whole process of how they bid on contracts and how they actually have to design things and how to get this whole thing. I was like, this is fascinating. And so being the contract administrator, I was responsible for all the invoices, the expense reports, the receipts, and making sure that everything they submitted got properly billed to the city of Rochester for their water filtration plant that they were building. And it said the city of Rochester, New York was like, listen, there was a snafu that happened somewhere in the beginning of the project. And so what I ended up having to do was take over for somebody else and untangle hundreds of thousands of dollars that had been misbilled. And so it came to a stop. So they were like, well, we're not paying you anymore until you fix what's wrong.
Okay.
So, yeah. So you can imagine, you can imagine. Right. So you can imagine. So you're in the middle about laying out pipes and trying to build this water filtration plant, and their city's like, nope, stop building. You guys cannot do anything else until you fix the invoices and all the receipts before started. So there had been this big snafu for months. When I got promoted, I didn't know this, so I inherit this big mess. So that's my first.
That's always the case, isn't it?
Yeah, that's my first induction into the engineering world is snafu. That's hundreds of thousands of dollars, and so I had to build a relationship with the city engineer and the chief engineer for the city of Rochester, New York. And he was a gentleman that was very demanding. I'll put it that way. He was very demanding. And so having to get him on the phone and explain, sir, first of all, I on behalf of our company, I am so sorry for the errors and whatever wrong. Could you please tell me how you want this information going forward? And I need 30 days or less to untangle this and get it, and then get it so you can actually pay us. So after a few choice words from him, he says, okay, listen, I like you, kid. You got some spunk. I'm like, and I was younger then. I'm like, okay, spunk must be a good word. So what takes spunk? I'm like,
you give it the meaning that you want.
That again?
You give it the meaning that you want. You don't want to.
Yeah, well, he said, I like you, you got spunk. I'm like, I don't know. I hope this spunk is a good thing, but I'm rocking spunk out. We're going to rock spunk out and get this resolved. So he literally let me have 30 days to untangle. I'm talking hundreds of thousands of dollars in invoices. So we're talking, the city of Rochester, New York had these required forms that every invoice had to be submitted. So you had to submit the form, plus the invoice, plus the receipts, plus there was some other documents. So anyway, this has all been messed up for months. I think what happened was the person that was in the job before me got overwhelmed, and instead of raising their hand and saying, look, I need help, they just kind of kept going along.
Kept going, yeah.
And I share that because sometimes in business, people won't raise their hand and say, look, they'll just keep messing stuff up and messing stuff up and messing stuff up, and then they'll get fed up one day and just walk away. You're like, what?
Yeah.
Stuck. And if you or anybody who's listening has ever been in business or been in a corporation and you inherit this huge problem, you're sitting there scratching your head going, what in the LL Cool J this thing? Because I'm like, how did this get like this? And that's when I talked earlier about the principles and the foundation that I learned. I determined and having perseverance and hard work. Well, I had to have all of that to untangle the hundreds of thousands of dollars in the situation in order to get that fixed. So basically after 30 days, we finally got things on the right path. And so every month I had to deal with this chief engineer and submit the invoices, submit the reports, et cetera, et cetera. And we finally got things done. And I'm happy to report that I think it was May, sometime in 1991 or 92, I think right before I graduated, the Hemlock, if you look up
Mm-hmm.
water filtration plant. It actually exists, and it's still in existence today. And so I'm happy about that because that was the first time I really got tested on
Mm-hmm.
you as a revenue person. Like, do you have the capacity to dig deep, resolve problems, build relationships, fix stuff, and then keep going,
Mm-hmm.
going.
So it's a full, and I'm trying to just just summarize the key point. I mean, first of all, when you started, you really started from scratch, but all the way really learn through adversity, learn to really solve problems and be resilient and understand and not give up. And that's really strong because I mean, I'm pretty sure you started really young and you could have been completely overwhelmed by all those problems. And that's sometimes what's happening is that we face problems and then we just give up, we run away, and we don't want to face them. So, and that's, where my next question is, coming, is that, what's really the process that you use or that you use right now when you really are in those tough moments, either in your life or in what you're doing, because it's really difficult to go after people and ask to give back money that they owe to, So I'm really interested to know how you do the process, because there's a lot of emotion involved,
Oh yeah, absolutely. So first of all, when I'm working with companies or government agencies, usually the process is this. There's a list of accounts that's and they'll give me the list. And I literally have to I usually start with prayer. I mean, I'll be honest. So I really do kind of sit quietly. And,
you need it.
I'm quick. God, look here. I got this situation going on here, and I need some help and some wisdom. I mean, like that, but some variation of that. I literally do sit down quietly, and I pray, and I kind of sit quietly, and then something will come to me and I'll make a quick note. And then I literally start with I get the list of accounts and I literally do a checklist. I start going down. I'm looking for particular things. I'm looking for the amount of the contract. I'm looking for the period of performance. When did it start? When was it supposed to end? How much is it for? Who are the key players? What was supposed to be delivered? And then, I'm looking at the financial records. I want to find out, okay, let's say the contract was for $10,000 US dollars, and it was supposed to last, say, 5 months. And so I'm looking for were the invoices submitted on time, and or service delivered on time. And if it wasn't, then I got to find out who do I have to talk to. So usually there's a technical person on the government side. There's usually a technical person. So there's a contracts person who handles the financial side, and then there's a technical person who handles like the actual work. The word is in the engineering space, but basically there's somebody who's kind of like the overseer of everything. So I'm looking for that person to tell me, okay, do you agree with what was done here? And if they say yes, then I need them to sign off or send me an email and say, yes, I concur and I agree with you. Or if they say no, let's say that they were building something, and let's say that there was a snafu in the delivery of the parts of the services. Of this project is on hold until we get this resolved. So I gotta find out what happened in the process, because basically when a contract is awarded, whether it's awarded on the engineering side, the financial side, the IT side, government side, somebody awards it, somebody is responsible for the administration of it, and somebody has to confirm that the services were delivered, the products were delivered, the invoices were submitted, and then they got paid. My job to recover the money is after everything takes place. I'm the person, so I'm the person that's doing one of two things. So for example, this is probably a good place for me to tell my story. So back in the day, I worked for a small I did work for an engineering firm, but I also worked for an IT firm. So this IT had $8 million in sales on the books, but not in the bank. So they sold $8 million worth of software licenses, laptops, everything IT. They sold, but the money was on the books, but not in the bank. My job was basically be given, like I was saying earlier, be given this list of accounts, and after a quick prayer, figure out how come the money was on the books, how come the sales were made, but the money wasn't.
It was not in the bank, yeah.
Exactly. So what I found out was this. So one of the companies said, this is a true story. One of the companies said, Dee, we changed our billing systems and we sent an email to your company saying, listen, if you will reformat your invoices to the new billing systems, we will pay you to the tune of $4 million.
And they didn't do it.
They didn't do it until I can't make this up.
They didn't do it.
But here's what's crazy. That $8 million sat uncollected until I got it. And then like I said, after my prayer, I go to work. I'm on the phone. Hi, I'm Dee with Amherst Technologies. I'm calling on behalf of account number, blah, 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 for invoices, et cetera, and how much is it for? And the lady said, listen, we changed our billing system. So like, for example, if you use Excel or you QuickBooks, so they used to do it in Excel, now they were doing it in QuickBooks, for the example of the story. I sent the email that said, you changed the billing system. Sure. I get the email, I go see the comptroller, and I'm like, look, there's $4 million that we are owed. If we can get this reformatted, they'll pay us. So I got it done. So the long of the story is I collected $6 million in 60 days while working part-time. As great as that is, the CEO called all of us together and said, listen, I want to have a chat. I've learned now that chat is code for there's a problem. I said, uh-oh.
Obviously, there's a problem.
There's a big problem. When the CEO says we want to chat, like,
I don't want to chat to you.
Yeah, we're not chatting today. We're going to have a chat. So we all come downstairs. He tells us, listen, I want to thank everybody for your services. Appreciate everything you've done. Executive decision that we're closing the company. This is 2 months before Christmas. So you can imagine myself and everybody else who had worked really hard to for the sales guys who sold everything, collections to recover the money. We're like, are you kidding? I had to pick myself up off the floor because I'm like, I just worked really hard to get $6 million back part-time.
Yeah.
They're like, we out. I'm like, really? So from that story, I learned a couple of things. I learned that collecting cash really involves figuring out the disconnects, figuring out the problems with sales, with contracts, with billing, and with payments. And if any company doesn't address how to collect the cash and doesn't address what's happening on the sales side, on the contract side, on the bills and payments, you can close and you can think you're doing great and you're just sitting there just doing life, checking your money, and you eventually end up going out of business. And so right now here in the States, we've had Payless Shoes, Charming Charlie's, Barney's of New York, Dress Barn, 4 major corporations are closing or have closed 2019 because of the 4 things I just said.
Wow.
You can Google it right now. It's you can go Google. You can, matter of fact, whoever's listening, y'all can Google Payless Shoes. Done. Charming Charlie's, done. Barney's, done. Dress Barn, closing. And I'm sure there's more. My point is that my passion for why collecting money is so important is because of what happened to me personally. I'm a part-time person. My point was, I went to work. When we talked about values, I went to work to go help them. We not only lost our jobs, the company closed. And it sparked something in me that I realized that small businesses, not just in the US, but around the world.
Yeah, it's everywhere.
It happens everywhere. And they're so busy trying to catch the next sale, catch the next project, catch the next whatever, that they're forgetting that the back office, the billing, the receivables, the contracts, if those things are not in place in
you don't have the cash.
You done. right, you
Yeah,
got it.
you're
You're right.
done. Yeah. But why do you think they behave like that? Because, because the cash is really important. That's what we learn,
Absolutely.
when we start doing business, is that you need cash flow, a very good cash flow to be able to run your company, to grow. So why do you think, managers, or, you work with small company, why do you think they just forget about it and they just let it run? Is it a skill issue, or is it an attitude issue, or something else?
I think first of all, that's a great question. I love that. That's a great question.
Yeah.
But seriously, I think it's both. I think it's a skill issue and an attitude issue. If you think about it, excuse me, when people start a small business, it's usually because they are skilled at something, but they don't know all of the pieces of what's needed in business. They're like, I'm really okay. Let's say, just for example, I'm really good at baking cakes. Not me personally, but people say, okay, I'm really good at baking cakes. All right, cool. Know the ingredients of what it takes to make a cake. Know that you have to actually sell the cake. You don't remember that you got to actually have people buy the cake. You got to have an agreement for the cake. Like, I'm going to sell you 10 cakes. You're going to pay me this much money. I need to invoice you for it, and then I need to get paid. All you know is I know how to sell cakes. Well, no, you forget all the other parts of business, because business is made up of 4 things. You got to have sales, you got to have contracts, you have to bill, and you got to get paid. Those are the 4. There's many more things to it. And why I think they forget, or why they're lazy around it, is because they're so focused on what I'm good at, or they're so focused doing the sale, but they're forgetting that it's a complete cycle. It's a complete, and also I think it's also hard for them to acknowledge, for some people to acknowledge, business owners to acknowledge that, listen, that's not my lane of brilliance, and instead of acknowledging it, they bury it. And so you end up making these costly mistakes because you won't raise your hand and say, look, I need help.
And that's a big one, because, and especially with us women, we tend to be very shy in asking for help. We want to do everything on our own, and we end up, killing ourselves, I would say, on both sides, personally and professionally, and it doesn't actually help, and so it's really difficult. So what do you think they should do? Obviously, you said you should ask for help, but if they have a skill problem, what are the solutions around for them to close this gap? Yeah.
So number one, if you're a small business owner and you know that if you're skilled in the operations of the business, meaning, like, for example, okay, let's go back to making cakes. If you a person that makes cakes well, but you realize you don't know how to sell your cakes, so part of it is finding other people to work with, to align yourself. Now, I understand that you may not be able, if you're just getting started, you may not be able to have somebody that can sell their cakes right now. But the goal is that if you know that you don't know how to do this well, you may have to learn how to do it to survive right now. But the goal, they have to eventually get help. So you basically even have to take a look at it at this level. Okay, if I'm the CEO of my company, I need to be able to look at all the things that are happening in my business. So so who's handling my sales? Who's handling my marketing? Who's handling my finances? Who's handling operations? Who's handling HR? Who's handling all those pieces? Okay, I'm one person. I clearly can't do all of this. I eventually will have to learn how to collaborate with other people that can do this. Now, we live in a world today where you can have independent contractors, you can have freelancers, you can have people come alongside you and help you build your team as you are profitable. I don't recommend you do this right off the bat, because number one, you got to find out whether your product or services are actually market, and can you make some money.
Yeah, because the money is actually an issue, especially when you start, because if you don't have money, you tend to say, okay, I'm not going to spend this amount of money to bring a contractor or somebody else. I'm going to just do it myself. but then
Right.
it doesn't solve the problem, because at the end of the day, you put yourself in more, you create more challenges for yourself. So it can be very difficult.
It is difficult, but the thing is, I think most people, when you start your business, most of us who start a business, you're a solopreneur. It's you. But over time, number one, so you asked the question, how can you solve the problem? Number one, if you sit down and you realize I don't have the capacity to do all of this, you may have to go back to school to learn some things. Like, there's nothing wrong with going and taking a class at a community college to learn. Okay, I don't know how to sell. I need to go take a sales course. I may have to take a marketing course. And understand that the role, the business journey doesn't happen overnight. Most of us that have been doing this have been doing some part of the business and are also working full time and are in school. Like, you're on this business journey is because you want to make number one, you want to make a difference. Make a difference, you got to be smart. You also have to acknowledge where you have weaknesses and get the help. So, okay, I'll give you an example. Me personally, now I'm great at recovering money. You asked me, listen, Dee, can you recover money? Yes, because I have a system. I know what to do. Now, I struggle sometimes with sales. Now, I know that I still have to sell. Now, I've gotten much better at selling because I speak. So I've learned more and tell my story, and then in telling my story, I'm able to. But in the beginning, I did not. I struggled. So I had to get comfortable with selling, and I've had to take classes. I've had to sit with coaches to learn how to do this better. But the point was that I sat and looked at, okay, what am I good at? I know my gift is recovering, but I know that I don't do really well with sales. Okay, well, that meant I needed to go to school. So I personally went to school for a year to learn I took a business acceleration program for a year to learn the different components of what makes up a successful business. So at least have the knowledge, and I have resources to go back to. And when I feel like I need help, I can either go back and look at my former work in my classes, or I have my classmates that I graduated with that I can reach out to and say, listen, do you remember when we took this class? Do you remember this? I need on this. And there's nothing wrong with that. I think when we get to a point where we think we don't need help or we can do it all by ourselves, I think we do ourselves a disservice. And to your point, what you said, as women, we kill ourselves personally and professionally because we're stuck on pride.
That's exactly it. Yeah, that's really proud, and the ego, just to say, no, I'm not going to ask. I'm just going to prove that I can do it all myself. And
why? And here's my question: why do we feel like we have to prove it? I'm like, I don't know about you, but I can't do the cape like every day.
I think sometimes it's also the way, I don't know about, in America, but sometimes it's the way we are raised as well. It's really the tradition where, as women, because at home we are expected to basically do everything. So we bring this type of mindset when we do business or when we are at work. So it becomes very difficult to get rid of it. That's why it's important to have, people reminding us that, it's okay if you don't know something. It's okay to ask for help. It's okay to, to fail because, and it's okay to go back to the drawing board, like what you've done, go back to school and learn something and be in a better position to elevate yourself professionally.
Exactly. And I'm so glad you said that, because this BCS Solutions is my second business. I had a business 10 years ago. Failed. Oh my goodness. What? I can't.
I all went through it anyway.
Yeah. So I started the business. I started another business 10 years ago. I just, you know, because I've always loved collections, and I've always loved receivables management. I've always loved solving problems. I was like, I got a problem. Yeah, okay. So man, well, I think about it, it's like, oh my gosh. But anyway, I mean, hopefully this helps somebody, because the thing was, I started another business 10 years ago. Because I've always loved collections, I was like, okay, I got this. I can create this business. So I went to school again. I did the sort, created the business plan, had the great logo, business cards, collateral.
Great logo.
Then I got started, and like I said earlier, you know, I didn't know how to sell, and this was harder the first time. So I'm trying to learn how to be a business owner. Only thing I really knew how to do, kind of like the cake person who made the cakes, I knew how to collect money. I didn't know how to do a business. I had a business plan and the projections and yada yada and all that stuff. I got out there. I don't know. I mean, God was truly watching over me, because I don't know what I was doing back then. I was trying to hold, doing stuff.
Just moving all over the place.
Just moving and shaking and making a mess. Oh my gosh! And so I got out there. But you know what? I'm proud of me because of this. Even though I failed miserably.
Yeah, you learn.
And had to close it down and had to go back to work. You know what I'm proud of? I'm proud of the fact that I at least put myself out there.
You've tried. Yeah.
And I learned some valuable lessons. I learned number one, whoever's listening, if you want to start a business and you are working full time, don't quit your full-time day job.
Yeah.
Don't. Keep your day job and start small. Jumped out there thinking because I know how to recover money that I knew how to do business. I didn't. And I didn't. So there were lots of mistakes I made, but I'm proud of the fact that in spite of my failing, I failed forward.
And that's the most important thing. And that's the most important thing, is that you fell forward, because the success that you have right now is actually part of, you know, this failure is part of the success that you have right now. And you always have to remember that you're going to have those failures. And the most important thing is to learn from them and to keep trying, to, you know, keep going until you get it right. And then having all the tools to learn, and then, you know, get the assistance, like whatever we talked about just now. And so just based on that, what is success for you? What is success for you? How do you define it for you? Because I think it's a personal thing. I always, you know, I find out that it's a personal thing. But for you, what is success? And also want you to share with the audience what have been the pillar of your success. I mean, the key thing that's been helping you to be successful in whatever you've done, either personally or in your professional journey. And what are the key, you know, some of the specific roadblocks that you think we should, as entrepreneur or as you know, in the financial environment, if you prefer, that we need to watch out for?
Okay. You gave me 3 questions. I'm like, we got another hour?
we still have about 25 minutes, so you still have
all right, so
time.
I got, all right, okay, so let me, all right, so, okay,
you
so
are
give me the
alone
first
today, so it's all yours.
Okay, that's awesome. All right, so
Yes.
give me the first question. Let me address that one first. Can you say it again, please?
So the first question is, what is success for you?
Okay, so great question. Success to me is a couple of things. Number one, it's getting back up after having a major setback.
Getting back up after having a major setback. That's a very good one. Yeah.
Yeah. And the reason it's important is because of what I said earlier. Do you remember when I said earlier in my story, I said I went to North Carolina every single summer, and I I learned about determination and perseverance and tenacity. Those pillars, those intangibles were of what helps me to be who I am today. And so my success is getting back up after having failed. It's it's having a different mindset today. It isn't the glitz and the glamour and all the other stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It's really now about taking this one story about how secured your cash flow and what happened to me as a working for a small company,
Mm-hmm.
and it's having these amazing opportunities like today and others to share my story, and to know that by sharing this story and sharing my principles and sharing what has made me successful in recovering the millions of dollars I've done over the years, is that there are other people that can now come grab a hold of this and say, wow, if she could get up and do this again,
Mm-hmm.
I can do this too, and that she's accessible. Like I'm willing to work with companies and work with small companies and medium-sized companies and large corporations who may need this help, and I'm willing to tell what worked well
Mm-hmm.
and what didn't work, and to say, listen, none of us knows what all of us knows, but in order to be successful, you have to be willing to take risks. You have to say you don't know. You have to be willing to be taught or be coached or be mentored. And you have to believe that what you bring to the table can and will make a difference. I believe that what I do can and will make a difference. I have enough of a track record that proves it makes a difference.
So yes, so some very, very good point. I mean, there's this failure again that you brought, is that you have to be able to come back, which is the mindset and all this perseverance, and it's really a full package, and it's different for. And like I said, it's different for everybody, and that's why I always ask my guests what is specific, to them, because we don't have the same definition of success, and it's always good to specify. There's a question that I really love, to have, is that what keeps you going? Because I can imagine in like I said, going after people, going after organization, always to get this money, you can be overwhelmed, So what keeps you going? I mean, what do you do to really keep this energy that I see, all the time? What's the secret,
What's my secret? I can't tell you, no. No. No, seriously. Well, first of all, thank you for the compliment. The energy, the secret is this. One, I'm a believer in God. I really am. And my faith is central to me doing anything and everything in life. That's the first thing. Secondly, I do my best to eat well and get and exercise and drink water and go visit the doctor when I'm supposed to, take care of my temple. I shared also that I love jazz. So I put fun in my life on a regular basis. I really do. Because remember I started off the interview by talking about who I am and what I like to do. Be able to see me, yes, I'm a professional and all that, but I'm still a human, and I have days just like everybody else there. I have great like this one ain't working well today. All right, what we gonna do? We gotta regroup. So faith is important to me. I attend church on a regular basis. I do my best to eat well. My best to get good sleep. I exercise at least once or twice a week. I schedule fun as often as I can. I love to laugh. I love jazz. I love good music. So I'm either at a show, a concert, a play. I do things. My self-care is very important. I can't serve my customers well if I don't take care of me well.
Yeah, wow. I love this one, that I have to take care of me first so I can give the best service, which is amazing. And it's always important to remember, people, that we are not just one dimension. So you talked about the spiritual side, which is your belief in God. So always believe in something bigger than us, or people who have a different religion. And then the physical part as well, which plays a key role as well, and eating well and exercising, because you obviously dance, and you have the
Yep.
jazz as well. And also making sure that you connect with people as well to.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely.
So that's.
And I'm glad you asked that, Mira, because I feel like people on this entrepreneurial journey, I think they get so focused on the business, they forget, like, especially if you're a solopreneur or you're just getting started, you are the business. Even if you grow to become a corporation, whatever, it's all made up of people. And I personally don't believe you can deliver great service or excellent service or whatever if you don't take care of you first. And I know that there's talk about, you're being selfish. No, I'm being selfish, but not in the way that you think about being selfish.
Exactly.
I'm not thinking about anybody else. I'm looking at, okay, if I want to be the best revenue recovery specialist, I have to do some things to figure out what helps me be best. Some of them. Secondly, you asked a question about how do I keep going, especially when this work can be overwhelming. Well, I do that by some of the things I said. I also make sure that when I feel overwhelmed, I take a break. Pause. Because sometimes I've had accounts. Okay, so transparency here. I have had over my career some very challenging customers. Let's just call it. And there are days like the story I told about the engineering firm. Yeah. That's how I got started. So I've been building my skill set based on what I learned all those years ago. So I have customers now that are sometimes extremely challenging. And it's my goodness. And what I've learned now, it's okay if they're challenging. And it's okay if I have to take a moment to kind of pause or regroup or go take a walk or go get with one of my colleagues and say, listen, I've got this problem. I need to process this. And realizing that, as I said it, none of us knows what all of us know. The successful people that I've ever seen in life, they don't do life by themselves. They don't.
Yeah. And that's an important thing because, as entrepreneur, we tend, like you said, to be focused on, just doing and forgetting to connect and forgetting to rest and to really, take time to stop and then think and then ask for, help to be able to regroup and start all over again and come back strong. And that's a key one. So I think that we're getting, we're getting toward the end, but there's this question that I can't leave out.
Okay.
So what are your expectations for the future, and what legacy do you want to leave?
Wow, what a good question. I like that one. What are my expectations for the future? Well, I expect that so long as I keep my faith in God and that I'm willing, I expect that whatever I put my hand to do will be successful, meaning that I am on this journey to teach and share about collecting cash and money matters as an entrepreneur. So I expect that I will be on larger stages. I expect that I will be speaking around the world. I expect that I will be in front of major people sharing this story and other stories and teaching my philosophy on how to do this well. And I see this becoming, I don't know, maybe it's going to be a class one day. Maybe it's going to be a full-fledged training. Maybe it's going to be a collect the cash conference. I don't know. What I do see is that I'm going to be speaking on more platforms like this. I see myself having a bigger impact and changing the conversation around cash flow and collections and revenue so that people won't be afraid of it. Because I think right now most people are afraid to have this conversation because it makes, oh, I gotta ask you to pay my invoice. Yeah, you do need to pay your invoice, so you can't be scared of this. Because here's the thing: if you're scared to ask for the money you're owed on your business based on the contract that you have, why are you doing this? Why are you doing this? Seriously, why are you doing this? Now, of course, please understand, there's always exceptions to every rule. There's obviously and there's bad business deals and things like that. I'm just talking at the general level.
Yeah.
That's it. But you can't be afraid to ask for what you're owed, because the thing is, if you don't get comfortable with the whole money conversation anyway, why are you in business? The reason you're in business is to make money. That's it. Now you take your knowledge, skills, and abilities and do whatever you want to do with them, but the only reason you're in business is to make money. Now, in addition to that, yes, you make a difference. You become philanthropic and you help others, you build schools, you donate, all that. You can't do any of that if you don't have any money.
Yeah. You're right. I mean, you're definitely right, because you need the capital to be able to generate more wealth and more, good in the world. And sometimes we forget that,
Absolutely. And then the legacy will be is twofold. I believe I believe right now I'm working to create my legacy now. Like, this interview is already legacy for me, because for the first time, like I get to be on an international platform with one of my good friends sharing my story. That's legacy right there, because this is something I didn't see coming, but I'm so extremely grateful. I think I've said, but I'm grateful. So this is part of my legacy, is finding new ways to share my story on new platforms and prayerfully make a difference, make a deposit, nuggets. And that, 100 years from now, you're like, that funny child that was originally from Boston, Ferris wheels and loves jazz and other stuff. She talked about this thing about collecting money, and I gotta go that, because she was funny, but she made sense. Yeah. And because of her, my company is better. We're not red. We're able to pay ourselves and pay our employees and do good in the world. And I liked how she talked about that. And she's funny. She's hilarious.
Yeah. So I mean, a good point is this taboo around talking about money, and that's something. I think that's a great legacy to have, making sure that people, entrepreneurs, and even in our personal sphere, as as couples or as as family, to really have those hard conversation about money, and don't be afraid of that, because we all went through it where you're afraid of money. You just focus on going into business because of your passion and things like that, and then you get stuck on the capital side, and you don't know how to ask, or like you said, recover your money that you've worked for, but you're afraid to go and ask for it. So it's really an important point to bring, and ultimately you want to make the world better, and I think that's a big legacy to leave.
Thank you.
So it's been tremendous, and I just want to ask you, do you have any event or product or service that you want our audience to be aware of, and give us your last word, because
I've got a couple of things. So first of all, as we wrap up, first of all, this has been amazing. Thank you. So let me tell your audience, I'm here today because my friend bought Entrepreneur.
So go and buy it. If you're an entrepreneur, this is a very good book, full of it's a collaboration book with entrepreneurs, and like you, and you're gonna learn so much from it. So don't hesitate to reach out.
Here it is again. Let me share. So this is the book.
So entrepreneurial elevation.
Elevation. So I don't know if we can put it in the comments, but the link to buy the book is bit.ly/elevation2019. So that's bit.ly/elevation2019. That's the first thing. Second thing is, for everybody who's listening around the world, I have something called Collect the Cash. It's a free ebook. So in order to get that, I need your email address so I can actually send you that. So it's a book called Collect the Cash. It's a free ebook. In order to get it, you have to put your email address. So we'll have to figure out a way to people can list their emails so I can do that. The third thing, I have something called the class is called Collect Your Cash, 5 ways to cash flow. And the link for that is bit.ly/secure your cash flow. That's bit.ly/secure your cash flow. And it's a great self-study on my 5 steps on how to secure your cash flow as an entrepreneur. And even if you're not in business, you still need to know how to manage your money. So it goes over the 5 things you need to know how to manage your money. So it's collect the cash, 5 ways to secure your cash flow, bit.ly/secure your cash flow.
Okay, fantastic.
Yep.
Go ahead. And now your last word.
last but not least, in terms of reaching me, following me on all things social media. So on Facebook, it's Facebook/Dee Bowden, DeeBowden. I'm also on Instagram at Bowden, BOWDENDEE. LinkedIn, it's Dee Bowden. Website, www.bcsconsultinggrp.com. That's www.bcsconsultinggrp.com. It's been my absolute honor, pleasure to be here. Marielle, thank you so very, very much.
You are welcome. It's been
over
fantastic.
The moon with
so much energy and so much knowledge shared. It's just a nugget today. So I hope the audience has been really, taking notes, and you're going to reach out to Dee. She has some amazing knowledge to share, and it's about time for you to really start being comfortable with money, and she can help you to do that. So don't hesitate to reach out. It's been an amazing hour spent with Dee. So Dee, thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you
for your time, and have a good day, and we'll stay connected anyway. And
yes.
What I'm going to do is share all the links to after the show with the audience as well, when we're gonna broadcast the show again on the different platform, on YouTube and everywhere. So fantastic. Have a great day, and yes, so come and watch the last episode of the season on Friday. So happy to have you there. So for the audience, we'll see you on Friday with another episode of the Greatness Engineering Hour show. Thank you very much.
All right. Take care, y'all. Cheers.